Well, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited has responded to recent reports circulating on social media about the alleged unilateral termination of the crude oil sales agreement with Dangote Refinery. In a statement by its Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Olufemi Shoneye, NNPCL clarified that the contract for the sale of crude oil in Naira was originally structured as a 6-month agreement, which is set to expire at the end of March 2025. Now, the corporation also confirmed that discussions are currently underway to establish a new contract. Now, since the agreement began in October 2024, NNPCL has made over 48 million barrels of crude oil available to Dangote Refinery, with a total of more than 84 million barrels supplied since the refinery's operation started in 2023. NNPCL emphasized its ongoing commitment to supplying crude oil for local refining based on mutually agreed terms and conditions. Well, there's some criticism over the continued importation of petroleum and diesel despite Nigeria's rising local refining capacity. Now, we're joined from Lagos by oil and gas expert Toyin Akinosho. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight. I guess the fundamental question is, what exactly is the rationale behind this huge importation of petroleum and diesel despite the nation's rising local refining capacity? I mean, we have Dangote Refinery with a 650,000 capacity. There's Warri, Port Harcourt Refinery that have, come on stream. How do you, even excuse this? How do you explain this?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I'm not sure about a huge rise, as you call it. I think that we have a push and pull here. We're in the process of transition. As you know, the refinery itself only started producing gasoline around September 2024. It wasn't producing gasoline at the time it started. So we are in a process where you are having reducing importation and increasing supply, local supply. I don't see the problem there. I understand that the public is typically agitated when they talk about Dangote Refinery and they see this giant facility supposedly sitting there and is not being patronized by Nigerian marketers. I don't believe in that proposition. I think that it's a market. The market is deregulated so far. I don't see that there will be one fell swoop. There will be a wholesale transition from importation to some extent to no importation at all. And I don't even know whether that is the best thing for Nigeria. I think that at the end of the day, what I consider is more useful for the Nigerian economy is that you have much more export, and you overall, the value of export is higher than what you have as import. It's not that you should keep on insisting on self-sufficiency. That's not really the best economic outlook in my view. So I don't see what you're seeing. I think that the refinery itself, that's Dangote itself, has to also show good faith and have a continuing conversation with its own customers and not create a situation in which everybody thinks that there's a challenge, somebody is out to get Dangote industry. That's what I see in these conversations. No one, in my view, and I operate in this space, I talk.
I doubt very much if this report really is coming from Dangote. This is a report by the National Bureau of Statistics saying that Nigeria has, bought 15 trillion worth of, petroleum products, the largest petrol import bill in Nigeria's history. this really is not about Dangote. As a matter of fact, Nigerians are saying, look, if Dangote is giving us fuel, you have Warri Refinery, you have Port Harcourt, how do you justify this huge import bill?
Okay, so let me get back to you again. We do not have Warri Refinery. We do not have Port Harcourt. We really don't have production in a real sense from those quarters. We, as I said again, we're beginning to improve in terms of production from Dangote, and we'll get to a point where Dangote itself will be, will be able to supply on a good faith level with importers, so that there would not be the kind of thing that MBS is saying. That's really my point. I do not see these figures, that the MBS is providing. Of course, MBS is the sole custodian of Nigerian statistics, and I'm not going to argue with them. But in terms of relativity, I still think that we're doing fairly well in terms of what Dangote is producing in the market and who is picking up what Dangote is producing. The major energy marketers of Nigeria say that they are committed. A lot of their customers are taking, products from Dangote. The Petroleum Products Retail Association of Nigeria say a lot of, yes.
Mr. Akinosho, we went from 7.51 trillion in 2023 to a 15.42 trillion naira in 2024. And that's according to the NBS. If you say you cannot argue with these figures, can you at least speak to reality? Hold on a moment. No. Because the fundamental question is, at a time when hopes are high, that we have all these stagnant refineries coming on board, and of course the Dangote refinery, should that not translate to a decrease in importation? And also you will recall that the government agencies and authorities have told Nigerians that there will be no imports except, the caveat is except the Dangote refinery is unable to meet local demands. So where exactly is the problem here?
Okay. There are two things that you mentioned. You did mention importation in terms of naira. We need to be very careful when we're talking about naira that is converted from dollars. When you consider that the naira has been falling in the last 1 year. So basically, whatever is happening in dollar space, when you convert it into naira, you seem to think that there's a whole lot more more value that has been added. But in real terms, those volumes, relative to the naira, that is expended on them are sometimes much smaller. If a company, for example, tells you that is made 2 trillion naira, and that company is essentially a dollar-denominated company, you've got to go and see how much of that in terms of dollars is made. That's number one. The second point that you raise, is in terms of that there's a fiat, that the law basically says that you will not have any importation once Dangote is... That's not what I see in the law. The law basically is not asking for a monopoly. The law is asking for a fair deregulation. Let everybody, whoever is producing in the local space, let him engage, with the people who are buying from him in good faith. You don't drop prices on your supplier, on your customers, and have them go broke and go about, telling everybody that there's a problem. That's really the challenge that I see here. I think that over time, this is a transition period, and over time, we will get to some kind of dynamics, what you might call equilibrium space, where we won't need to be talking about this.
Okay.
that all that trillion that you are seeing from the NBS, I think is in terms of, you know, dollar,
well, Mr. Akinosho, we
dollar
actually
naira
have
mismatch.
Right now, I mean, we're just learning that the National Bureau of Statistics, the NBS, has distanced itself, you know, from this report. So we might just say maybe it's much ado about nothing, and hopefully this is not the reality in terms of direction. I mean, there's some experts like yourself would even say or question, you know, why are there external forces that don't want Nigeria to be fuel efficient, you know, or fuel sufficient as a matter of fact? Well, I mean, there you are. Or there yes, NBS says these figures did not come from them.
You see now, you see what I was just saying? I mean, and that's the point. We are, again, in a transition mode, and we will get there. I think that we have a good problem. And I think that we shouldn't be too agitated when it comes to, oh, okay, someone is importing. You know, people still have to, you know, let them have the free, I mean, option to determine what we should all worry about is the customer. Is he getting good value for, and in any case, we're all buying petrol at $900. That's a lot of money still, whether it is imported or is not. That's the point is the energy poverty in the country that we should all worry about, really, at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
On the issue of competition, of course, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the competition being between or among local, you know, oil producers and not necessarily having to import not even a drop of petrol to the country. I guess that's where we have to leave it. Tony Akinosho is an oil and gas expert. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for your insights.